There are people in your life who influence you in ways you don't even see. Some inspire you, energize you, and help you grow into a better version of yourself. But others, they quietly drain your energy, distort your reality, and leave you questioning who you really are. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in psychology, believed that human relationships shape not just our emotions, but our very identity. He also believed something darker, that some people can be profoundly dangerous to your mind and soul. These people don't always look dangerous. They're not necessarily criminals or villains out of a movie. Often they're family members, friends, co-workers, even partners, people you trust. And yet, their influence quietly reshapes your life in ways that can be deeply damaging. The problem is, we often don't recognize these people until the damage is done. We excuse their behavior. We rationalize their actions. Sometimes we even blame ourselves for their toxicity. Jung saw this as a deep psychological vulnerability. Our desire to see the best in people blinds us to those who are harming us the most. In this video, we will explore the 6 types of dangerous people Carl Jung warned about, and why it's crucial to recognize them before it's too late. Because understanding isn't just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting your identity, your mind, and your freedom. These 6 people aren't just bad influences. They each exploit something fundamental about human psychology: our empathy, our need for connection, our fear of rejection, or our unconscious wounds. Jung believed that unless we bring this awareness to the surface, we remain vulnerable, repeating the same painful patterns again and again. And here's what might surprise you. One of these types might already be in your life right now. They might even be someone close, someone you'd never think of as dangerous. That's what makes this so important. Stay with me until the end, because once you can identify these people, you can break free from their influence. And more importantly, you'll see why Jung believed that recognizing danger in others isn't about judging them, it's about saving yourself. The first type of dangerous person Carl Jung warned about is the manipulator. This is someone who knows how to twist situations, conversations, and even your emotions to get what they want. They don't usually look aggressive. In fact, they often come across as charming, friendly, and even helpful. That's what makes them so dangerous, because by the time you see the truth, they've already shaped how you think and feel. Manipulators thrive on control, and their greatest tool isn't force. It's subtle psychological influence. They play on your empathy, your sense of loyalty, and even your guilt. They create confusion, planting seeds of doubt in your mind until you start questioning your own judgment. Jung believed this type of person triggers what he called the shadow reaction, the part of you that fears conflict and seeks approval. When someone exploits that shadow, they gain power over you without you even realizing it. You might hear things like, "I never said that. You must have misunderstood me. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. I'm only doing this because I care about you." On the surface, these statements seem harmless, even caring, but beneath them lies a strategy to make you question your perception of reality, so you rely more on theirs. This is what psychologists today call gaslighting, and Jung would have recognized it instantly as a dangerous assault on the psyche. What makes manipulators so harmful is that they often wear the mask of a friend or a partner who has your best interest at heart. They position themselves as someone who knows better than you, someone who's just trying to help, while slowly undermining your confidence and independence. Over time, you start adapting your behavior to please them, avoid their disapproval, or keep the peace. Your own voice becomes quieter and theirs becomes louder until you find yourself living according to their narrative, not yours. Jung believed that allowing someone like this to shape your inner world can lead to what he called loss of self, when your decisions, emotions, and even identity are dictated by external forces. This, he said, is one of the most dangerous states for a human being because it disconnects you from your authentic self. So how do you deal with a manipulator? Jung would say, You must first see them clearly. Stop making excuses for their behavior. Stop telling yourself, maybe I'm overreacting. Instead, ask, do I feel smaller after interacting with this person? Do I constantly feel I have to explain or defend myself? If the answer is yes, you might be dealing with someone who's dangerous not because of physical harm, but because of how they quietly erode your sense of reality. And here's the hardest part. Manipulators often don't change because manipulation works for them. That's why Jung believed awareness is key. You can't always fix these people, but you can refuse to let them define you. Distance, boundaries, and clarity. These are your tools. Machiavelli was often called ruthless, even manipulative, but beneath the political reputation, he understood one thing better than most. Human behavior is predictable. People act based on two primary forces, reward and fear. When used correctly, these forces don't just control armies or nations. They can control the one thing that matters most to you, your habits. Leverage, not force. When we try to build discipline, most of us rely on internal speeches. I should do this. I must do better. I'll push through no matter what. But Machiavelli would laugh at that approach. Why? Because he knew human nature always takes the path of least resistance. If you have to convince yourself every single day, you've already lost. Instead, Machiavelli would say, make the right action the easy action. He believed discipline isn't about suppressing your nature, it's about designing for it. This means use rewards to lock in habits. Reward yourself immediately after doing the task, even something small like checking off a habit tracker or giving yourself 5 minutes of something you enjoy. Your brain starts craving the action instead of dreading it. Use fear strategically, not to punish yourself, but to create accountability. Tell someone about your goal, put money on the line, or set up a consequence if you skip. The fear of loss is often stronger than the desire to gain. Discipline as a political structure. Think of yourself as both the ruler and the citizen of your life. Machiavelli would advise, do not depend on the good nature of the people. Build laws and structures that make rebellion difficult. Translated into your daily habits. Don't depend on motivation or moods. Build rules and routines so strong that even when you're tired, success still happens. For example, want to work out? Put your clothes next to your bed the night before and schedule it as non-negotiable. Want to focus? Block distracting websites, silence your phone, and have a defined start ritual. Want to save money? Automate transfers before you even see your paycheck. The point is clear. Design removes decision-making friction, and when discipline no longer depends on emotional energy, it becomes automatic. The psychological advantage. Modern science confirms Machiavelli's approach. Willpower is like a muscle. It fatigues quickly, but habits run on autopilot. By structuring your environment, your brain stops wasting energy debating whether to act. It just acts. Machiavelli knew power wasn't about brute strength. It was about structure, and if you adopt that mindset, you turn discipline from something you try to do into something you simply are. If this resonates with you, stop waiting for motivation. Take 25 minutes right now and design one simple system. Remove one friction point, set one reward, or add one accountability check. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and share this video with someone who's been stuck waiting for the right time to change. Because discipline isn't about tomorrow, it starts now. The third type of dangerous person Carl Jung warned about is the narcissist. Now, we hear the word narcissist a lot these days, often used casually, but Jung understood it at a much deeper level. To him, narcissism wasn't just selfishness, it was an identity trapped in a false image of perfection, built to hide deep inner wounds. And that's exactly what makes narcissists so dangerous. They live behind masks, and they expect you to live according to their mask too. A narcissist thrives on validation. They need admiration, attention, and control. Their sense of self-worth is fragile, so they create an illusion of power, success, or charm, and then demand that everyone around them confirms it. If you don't feed their image, you become a threat. And when that happens, they often turn manipulative, aggressive, or emotionally cold. Jung believed narcissists represent a person who has become possessed by their own ego. Instead of facing their shadow, their flaws, insecurities, and fears, they build a fortress of arrogance and charm. And inside that fortress, empathy dies. Everything becomes about them, their needs, their success, their feelings. Yours, irrelevant unless they serve their narrative. At first, narcissists can be magnetic. They might be funny, charismatic, and even generous, but it's conditional. The moment you set boundaries or stop feeding their need for admiration, their mask slips. That's when you see the other side: manipulation, blame shifting, silent treatment, or outright hostility. Jung warned about people like this because they distort reality. They often use what's called narcissistic gaslighting, making you question your own perceptions so you fall back into their version of the truth. They might say, "You're imagining things. I never said that. You're twisting my words. You're so ungrateful after all I've done for you." Every conflict somehow becomes your fault, and over time, you might start doubting yourself so much that you rely on them for validation, exactly what they want. The danger of being around a narcissist is identity erosion. Your world starts revolving around them, making them happy, avoiding their anger, gaining their approval. Slowly, your own needs, feelings, and ambitions fade into the background. This is why Jung considered narcissistic influence one of the most dangerous psychological traps, because it doesn't just hurt your feelings, it shapes your entire sense of self. So what do you do if you recognize someone like this? Jung's approach would be awareness and boundaries. Understand that you cannot fix a narcissist. Their mask is their survival, and they rarely drop it willingly. The best protection is clarity. See their patterns, refuse to feed the illusion, and protect your emotional space. It's not easy because narcissists are often skilled at making you feel guilty or selfish for protecting yourself. But remember, self-respect isn't selfishness. Jung believed the journey to individuation, becoming your true self, requires cutting ties, or at least limiting the power of those who drain your authenticity. And narcissists, if left unchecked, will drain you until there's nothing left but their reflection. If you found this eye-opening, don't stop here. These insights only work when you put them into action. Hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because protecting your mind starts with awareness, and awareness grows when we spread it. The fourth dangerous person. The envious envy is one of the oldest human emotions, but Carl Jung considered it uniquely destructive when it takes root inside someone's personality. The envious person can't celebrate your success. To them, your progress feels like their failure. Instead of being inspired by your achievements, they feel diminished by them, and that pain often turns into subtle acts of sabotage. These people don't always express envy directly. They might even smile and say, "I'm happy for you." But behind the smile is bitterness. You might notice little passive-aggressive comments, quiet withdrawals, or an unspoken tension whenever you share something positive. Jung believed envy is dangerous because it often comes from what he called the shadow, the rejected parts of ourselves that we refuse to confront. The envious person doesn't hate you. They hate the reflection of what they wish they had, and instead of facing their own insecurity, they project it onto you. Over time, this kind of relationship creates emotional confusion. You hesitate to share your wins, fearing it'll make them upset. You shrink yourself to make them comfortable, and in doing so, you slowly lose your own light. The fifth dangerous person, the control freak. The fifth type Jung warned about is the control freak. This person needs power, not because they're strong, but because they're terrified of losing control. Control freaks believe that if they can manage every detail, every choice, every move, they can avoid uncertainty and pain. But what they really create is fear and suffocation. You've probably met someone like this. They need to know where you are and what you're doing at all times. They make decisions for you, for your own good. They react strongly when things don't go exactly as they planned. Jung understood that control freaks operate from deep insecurity, often rooted in childhood experiences of chaos or unpredictability, but their fear becomes everyone else's prison. When you're around them, you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, scared to make a wrong move or say the wrong thing. The danger here is loss of autonomy. Little by little, your freedom disappears. You stop making choices based on what you want and instead choose what will keep them calm. Your life becomes theirs, and that's exactly why Jung placed them among the most dangerous, because they don't just control situations, they control identities. Why these two are so damaging? Both of these people, the envious and the control freak, operate from fear and insecurity, but they manifest it differently. The envious person tries to pull you down so they can feel equal. The control freak tries to pull you in so they can feel safe. In both cases, your individuality is under attack. Jung believed the solution is clarity and boundaries. Recognize envy for what it is, someone else's shadow, not your responsibility. Recognize control for what it is, fear disguised as authority. The sixth dangerous person, the energy vampire. The final type of dangerous person Carl Jung warned about isn't always malicious or calculating, but their effect on your life can be just as devastating. These are the energy vampires, people who drain your mental and emotional energy simply by being around them. They might be chronic complainers, drama magnets, or people who constantly need reassurance and attention. At first, you think you're just helping a friend, being supportive, doing the right thing. But over time, you realize something. Every interaction leaves you exhausted. Energy vampires thrive on what Jung described as unconscious dependency. They feed on your time, your empathy, and your emotional labor. They don't necessarily want to hurt you, but their constant need for validation, comfort, or problem solving turns you into their personal battery. The danger: they take and take until there's nothing left for you to give. You might notice that after talking to them, you feel emotionally heavy, mentally tired, even anxious. You start dreading their messages, avoiding their calls, or preparing excuses just to protect your space. Jung would argue that this relationship reveals something deeper in you too, a shadow tendency to overgive, to be the rescuer. That's why these relationships often last so long. One person unconsciously needs to take, and the other unconsciously needs to give. It becomes a cycle of mutual dysfunction, but awareness breaks the cycle. Recognize that you are not obligated to sacrifice your energy for someone else's comfort. Compassion does not mean depletion. You can care, but also choose distance. You can listen, but also say no. The bigger picture: When Carl Jung warned about dangerous people, he wasn't telling us to become paranoid or cut everyone out of our lives. His point was awareness. Each of these 6 types, 1. The manipulator, 2. The perpetual victim, 3. The narcissist, 4. The envious, 5. The control freak, the energy vampire, has one thing in common. They distort your reality and chip away at your sense of self. The goal isn't to hate these people. It's to see them clearly and protect your boundaries so you can grow without interference. Because when you allow these patterns to control your life, you risk losing the one thing Jung valued above all, your individuation, your unique, authentic self. If even one of these people sounded familiar, it's not an accident. Most of us have at least one in our lives right now. And the truth is, the longer you ignore it, the deeper their influence goes. So take this as your moment of clarity. Recognize the patterns. Set boundaries without guilt. Protect your energy like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. If this video opened your eyes, don't stop here. These are just the first steps in understanding the hidden forces shaping your mind and your reality. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because protecting your mind starts with awareness, and awareness spreads when we share it. These people might never admit their issues, and they may never change, but you can protect yourself by refusing to sacrifice your growth for someone else's comfort.